Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of Tourismus Namibia, our weekly edition every Saturday morning. As you can see, I've got Desiree here again. Hi, sis.
Hi, sis.
I say I'm getting better. Okay. Welcome, and I hope you enjoy being here on the show every time.
I do, otherwise I wouldn't come back.
Okay. She hasn't run yet, so surely she must have enjoyed. Yeah, as always, we bring you topics, and then after that we give you a couple of ideas of where you can go. Obviously, we would always like to go there as well. Destinations, and then last we've got to the point. So first up is topics. Oh, and by the way, my name is Frank Steffen, as you can read there. I'm the editor of the Tourismus magazine, and then obviously of the German daily Allgemeine Zeitung. So up next, topics.
So first on topics we have Mata border.
Very important, I think.
Interesting fact, Mata actually means kill in Portuguese.
Oh,
did you know?
No, I didn't. I didn't even know it was Portuguese. I thought it was Nama expression, so I didn't know.
No, it's not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But the Ministry of Home Affairs, Immigration, Safety and Security has issued a statement confirming that the Mata border, which allows access from Namibia's side into the Klagadi Trans-Frontier Park, previously known as the Kalahari-Gemsbok National Park of South Africa. The ministry explained that the border was initially closed on account of the COVID-19 pandemic, and for practical reasons, it will remain closed until such time as the ministry's South African counterpart is opening the border point at Tweerivieren. Thank you, Frank. Tweerivieren on the South African side again.
Yeah, I think this is very important. I mean, people realize that the pandemic has caused us to close down border points. And I totally agree with the ministry. They would actually be prepared to open it again. But they say there's no point in opening it when the South African border point is not open. Because it clearly is, it has always been a precondition that you can only enter or leave through that point, let's say leaving Namibia to South Africa, if you've got a booking in the park.
Okay.
So you can't just use it as a through fare and there you go. You need to be a visitor to the park, then you can use that point. And it's actually supposed to work the same way if you go down along Sendlingsdrift, which is down at Rospina. It's the same way. But as I said, Mata is still closed for the moment. So.
Okay.
Yeah, that's so it's quite important, because if you plan your trip, it would be quite nice to know in advance instead of arriving there and suddenly having to hear that you go past Kitna.
That would be very sad.
Yeah, no, I think you wouldn't be impressed. Yeah, and then we've got an interesting article that we would just like to bring to your attention again. In Friday's edition of the Market Watch, there was an article which concentrated on the pandemic grabs billions of Namibia's wealth. So what they basically said is they focused on the fact that the total value of goods and services produced in Namibia last year stood at 132.5 billion, which is basically a decline of 12.3 billion, which is a lot for us. And it was compared to the 144.8 billion recorded in 2019. So this is the worst annual gross domestic product contraction since independence. That's according to Simonis Storm. And what they stressed was the hotels and restaurant sector recorded the largest decline, amounting to 31.2% in 2020, compared to a still positive growth of 1.5% in 2019. So the poor performance in the sector was mainly attributed to the hotels subsector, which registered a decline in real value added of 39.1%. So that's a lot.
It is.
And so the NSA, the Namibia Statistics Agency, reckons this is due to weak demand for leisure, conferencing and accommodation activities as a result of restrictions on international travel and reduced disposable income of the local traveler. So they're really just confirming what we've also brought out in a couple of articles before, because recently we also in the Allgemeine Zeitung, and you could read in Republikein, Namibian Sun even, that really there is a problem. Hotel, you know, the whole hotel sector, or if you really take it, the tourism industry has just dropped. I think we had the other day from Gita, that's Gita Petzold of Han, she still told us that they had a 89% loss of income in
89.
So that's huge. So anyway, so up next, I'll quickly continue, because this is a bit of a pet subject of mine. The red line, or veterinary cordon fence. So if you look at the map that I've brought along, you can clearly see this is a map that I copied from the WWF that had a similar report about this. And the map shows, you know, the red lines that you see there, or purple lines, whatever. They roughly show you where the veterinary fences run in Namibia, Botswana and Zimbabwe. Now, Windhoek's mayor, Joba Mupanda, regards these historic fences as nothing more than a colonial relic. He might think so, but the foot-and-mouth disease, which is, well, the rinderpest basically caused those fences to be put up, had nothing to do with any colonial intent or something. It simply had, they were put up at the time to basically make sure that foot and mouth wouldn't spread beyond certain points. And it's not good enough. Mayor Amupanda reckons that it should be removed in Namibia, so that you know, it's a simple thing for him. Because as far as he's concerned, it only exists to protect the exports by Meatco. This is not so. The problem is that with those sort of sicknesses, you would suddenly have to shut down all border points to South Africa. Because South Africa would not want foot-and-mouth disease coming from Namibia into their country. The same applies to Botswana and to any other country. So if we suddenly don't have those controls anymore, it's not simply, oh no, by the way, you won't sell any meat to Europe anymore. That would probably be your smallest problem at the end of the day. No, it would really be a case of shutting down our country. So I spoke to a veterinary officer. At this point, they don't want to be named, which I can understand in some way. But they say it would be totally ridiculous to move it. And that person actually reckoned that even if you move the fence up to the north of Namibia, even then that veterinary cordon fence would remain in existence, for the simple reason that if ever there was another outbreak, then they can quickly shut it down. So it's much more than a colonial relic. It's a practical matter, especially because on the northern part of Namibia, we have a pretty much open border with Angola, with people bringing in their cattle, coming over to graze on the Namibian side, or vice versa, ours going up there. So it's not as easy as just taking away the line and saying, okay, now it's all Bob's your uncle, there we go, and we sell our meat to whoever we want to. So yeah, the topics are brought to a point in that respect. So let's hope that even Mayor Amupanda, who always takes a lot of pain to explain that he's an academic and activist, he has not yet come up with any practical solution. So I think it's important that those sort of topics are relevant. Yes, we need to address them, but it's not a case of get down that fence within 90 days or I will what? So we need to think about these things in a practical manner. It's easy to principally criticize the government, but come up with a different alternative, then I'll accept it any day.
Or some sort of solution.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, it must be something that can be done about the problem, and not just simply point at it and come up with these forever colonial phrases and whatever. It's got nothing to do with the whole subject. So anyway, that's these are topics for today. Up next, we've got destinations. Yeah, welcome back. So up next, destinations. You've got one for us?
Yes, I do. So today on destinations, we have Cest Si Bon Hotel in the beautiful Otjiwarongo. So today we visit Cest Si Bon Hotel in Otjiwarongo. The hotel has 64 rooms ranging from standard, luxury, executive and family rooms. The facility also has a swimming pool, which is great for leisure, and allowing guests to cool off and relax. The facility also has a conference facility which can cater to or up to 200 people. In the absence of COVID-19, I hope.
Yeah, it must be said, yeah.
The hotel manager, Eslin shares more about the establishment in an interview with Ester Kamati, one of the journalists.
Welcome to Cest Si Bon Hotel. Cest Si Bon Hotel, the previous owner or the owner took over in 2007 when it was basically just the thatched areas all around us here by the pool. Then by 2010 we added an extra 30 rooms in the back, which I will show you now. The location for Cest Si Bon Hotel was the original municipal swimming pool in Otjiwarongo. And then someone saw the gap to open a little hotel with a few rooms, and then when the latest owner took over, he made it much more bigger. So yeah, in total we've got 64 rooms available. We've got different types of rooms to suit everybody's needs. We've got standard rooms that are a bit cheaper, luxury rooms, and then we've got executive and executive family suites as well for a family that wants to come for the weekend to Otjiwarongo. We also offer a pool area for everyone to go. Swimming pool towels always available. The bar's open as well for a drink if you need one, if you are staying here at the hotel. And then we've also got a lovely restaurant opposite the road where people can have lunch and dinner.
Yeah, it's actually quite a nice place. I've stayed there before, and I must say, I saw it over the years as it grew, and it has grown tremendously. I mean, you can imagine all those rooms. And like I said, across the road, they've got more rooms than the restaurant that he spoke about and so on. And what has always impressed me is they've never let down on their standard.
Oh.
Whenever you came there, it was a well-kept place, it was neat, it was tidy. So you never felt, can I really book somebody in here?
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind I would go there and stay there any day. And very pleasant surrounding all in all. You know, you can relax there as well. So yeah, Cest Si Bon, it's a nice halfway stop. If you're somebody coming from beyond Namibia and you go up to the north, or even if you simply want to stop over for the night and then next day carry on to Etosha, or maybe even visit other places around Otjiwarongo. Because like I often say, it's not always only about Etosha. If you go to Waterberg, you've got a couple of opportunities to go to various lodges, and you've obviously got the choice to go to the wildlife resort there and have a look at the buffalo up on the park plateau. And so lots to do in Otjiwarongo. It doesn't always have to be just on your way to a specific area. Lots of lodges, lots of different types of accommodation facilities. But Cest Si Bon is certainly one of the nicer ones. Then up next, we have another contribution. It was prepared by Tanja Bause, and she spoke to Heinz Manns in Lüderitz. This is obviously the southern coastal town that you actually see as our background there. And here the offices as you come into town, easy to find. I mean, Lüderitz is not that big. That yellow line is the main road leading into Lüderitz. So it's right on the way, just beyond Obelix, the accommodation facility of Obelix. Just down the road, you come to Namib Offroad Excursions. So anyway, Tanja Bause has prepared the contribution in which she spoke to Heinz and talking about what you can expect when visiting the old Elizabeth Bay ghost mine and town. Obviously, while driving along with Namib Offroad Excursions. They're one of the older units down there that have started these desert drives, like as in years and years ago.
Oh.
But have a look yourself.
I'm Heinz Manns from Lüderitz, Namib Offroad Excursions. I'm currently standing in front of the mine manager's house in Elizabeth Bay. It's in the Sperrgebiet south of Lüderitz. We offer half-day and full-day tours.
eBay is a very special place. It is like taking a step back in history. One can almost feel the vibe from yesteryear. Maybe that has something to do with the fact that my family lived and worked here many moons ago. The basic eBay tour takes about 4 hours. Best time would be in the morning, as the wind can become an issue later during the day. We usually start at 9 o'clock in the morning when guests are picked up at the guest houses or hotels. Self-drive is also an option with two-way radio supplied by us. Upon arrival at the Sperrgebiet checkpoint, everyone has to undergo a breathalyzer test. So please, no big parties the night before. The round trip from Lüderitz is about 90 kilometers of good gravel road. One can see under which conditions people worked and lived during the 1920s on the diamond fields of Namibia. Lots of old photos on display to match up with what is left today. Chances are that we will see some resident jackals, and you might also be very lucky to find a brown hyena roaming the ruins of eBay. We do the eBay Extreme Tour on special request only. This off-road trip takes you along the old narrow gauge rail leading to eBay. Old classifiers and jigs, as they were left almost 100 years ago to survive the elements. This gives the eBay tour a totally different angle, of course.
The bay started well before the First World War. It was, they did mining here, but they treated the ore in Kolmanskop. And after the First World War, they only built the town and the plant at eBay. which started operating then in 1926. And well, they operated for 9 years until it came to an abrupt end in 1935. And after the war, they tried again. Well, during the first years, they took out 1.25 million carats. And after the First World War and Second World War, they tried again, and they only took out 24,000 carats and called it a day. It wasn't worth it anymore.
They've also started with a new eBay mine a couple of years ago, which is adjacent to this one.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that?
What they're doing, they're mining exactly the same spots. It's only a basin that's about 3 by 5 kilometers long. It's actually the alluvial diamonds that gets pushed into this basin, in the old days, millions of years ago. And those are the diamonds they are mining. And up to today, it's been closed for a year and a half about now, changing ownership, but they will start up soon again. And they started building that plant in 1988, and operations started around 92. And they took out a lot of diamonds. There's a big tailings dump there, so you saw the dump, it's quite huge. You see the shopping center of days gone by. You get over here, we get to see the houses, the small 4-room houses for families. And in the background there, we can see island, that is Mission Island over there. Here you can see the water reservoir at Elizabeth Bay. Then we get over here, we get to the compound which was used for all the laborers at the time. I wonder if anybody's home today. Let's see if people are in. Oh my goodness, the beds aren't even made. This is Elizabeth Bay at its best. Yes, you guessed it. There's even a coffee shop in Elizabeth Bay. With some photos, so you can see how the people lived and operated almost 100 years ago. Thanks for joining us.
What a nice contribution. He's got quite a nice sense of humor.
He does.
Yeah, I wish everybody who spoke to us always sort of had those little bit of snippets and information. Yeah. Obviously, like I said, there are many people who are offering that service, but certainly there you could see Heinz certainly knows his stuff. So if you're down at Lidritz, do it. I always say, the problem is Wiebke Schmidt, who's one of our colleagues who sort of contribute towards the show as well and on the German side. She always says, this is the longest cul-de-sac. And it is, because you drive from Kitmans to Lidritz. And basically you've got to come all the way back, at least to us. So while you're down there, you might as well make sure that you enjoy everything that they've got to offer. And they've got a lot to offer down in Lidritz. They're these catamaran they take you out on a drive out on the bay, right up to the point, Lidritz Point, Diaz Point that is. And then you look, there's lots of hotels. I mean, we obviously already spoke about the Obelix site. There's the Bayview, and there's the Nest Hotel, and all these nice hotels. And they're not always expensive. You just have to shop around a bit. And then, like I said, there's lots to do in terms of getting your go and visit the fjords, go and have a look at the lighthouse at, at Diaz Point. go and take these drives to Kalmanskop, then there's Elizabeth Bay, all those various. We've had a specialized edition before, just about Lüderitz, and it was surprising how much there really is to do. So if you go there, you might as well take the whole load and make sure that, you know, when you come back in another few years' time, it's at least worth it because you can reload again, you know. Anyway, those were our destinations for this week. Up next, we've got To the Point. It's actually quite interesting to see more and more we find that lodges are advertising on our show. And the idea is obviously that we're busy right now revamping those pages and getting the bookings page going and everything. So it really is nice for these people to sort of come on board. And my invitation has been open all the time, is for any lodge to contact us, and we'll talk about them and contribute, and they can send us videos and we'll talk about what they've got to offer. This is not always a cost item, especially with our journalists. They're looking for something to tell. And so if anybody contacts us, easy for them. I mean, it's not that you always have to advertise. It's if you've got something interesting, we'll talk about it. So this is really a nice free service to the tourism industry, I must say. Right, so To the Point, obviously. The one item, my favorite one, Recon Africa, obviously. So earlier in this week, if you look here, they had a talk. It was a Women's Leadership Center. This was the result after the Namibian President, Dr. Hage Geingob, recently made that remark that Namibians talk too much, and he wasn't keen on allowing any questions to be put to Craig Steinke, who's the founder member of Recon Africa. And this is obviously all about the exploration up in Kavango. So the Women's Leadership Center took it on themselves to introduce Matthew Totten Jr. He's a former exploration specialist, and then Rinana Musutwa of the Economic and Social Justice Trust spoke, and at the end also Nadia April of the WLC. The fact that I'm mentioning this is because Matthew Totten went into quite a bit of detail to show that lots of the allegations made by Recon Africa, that they're striking oil and how favorable that spot is and so on. And he actually sort of took them to task a little, so have a look yourself.
Hey, there's this oil company coming to frack in Namibia. And as soon as I heard that, I was immediately concerned, because we all know Namibia is an extremely water-scarce country, and fracking requires enormous amounts of both water and number of rigs to produce, drill sites to produce, and so this in the Kavango region, in one of Africa's most pristine wildlife areas, is outrageous, to say the least. Nowhere in the world is there a sedimentary basin this deep that doesn't produce commercial hydrocarbons. And then they said, given the nature that this basin, of the basin, and its tremendous thickness, this is pretty much a no-brainer. They released some data trying to say they had gas shows and oil shows, but this was really laughable because their peak gas shows were maxed out at 5 units on a 10,000 unit scale. Okay, that's just 0.05% mud gas concentration. There's more gas in a can of beans than that. And and it really could be measurement error. That is within the measurement error of the mud log gas chromatograph. Okay, and the investor community isn't buying it either. That point there, that inflection point where the stock price really took a dive, That's their data release day. That's August 5th. And their stock price has plummeted since because people who know oil and gas geology know this is not a commercial play anymore. Now, so at this point, it really is just extending the project for as long as you can and making people think there's a chance of a discovery to keep the stock price inflated, keep the project going. But I think if there was data to refute a lot of the negativity being directed at Recon Africa, they would have done it already. Like, they want to stop the stock price bleeding because, let's just go back to that real quick. I mean, this is less than 2 weeks. I mean, it's just been a precipitous fall from the first time they really released any well data. So people aren't impressed, and if they had something to turn the ship around, they would have released it already.
We actually had to rush it quick. I wasn't exactly at my place right now. So we had to do it a bit faster than other days. Yeah, but anyway, this was a very interesting broadcast. And if you want to have a look at the whole broadcast, it should still be on the Tourismus Namibia page. It was simply interesting to see how Matt actually proved that even the data that these guys are looking at has loads of errors in terms of how they analyzed it and the assumptions that they based it on. So to me, it was a very, very interesting presentation. And I know that many of the people who listened in actually made comments and said, you know, this is interesting insight stuff that they didn't previously know. Because what you generally find in Namibia is that everybody has heard of it. Some are not really concerned because it doesn't touch me down in Windhoek. It will affect you in Windhoek the moment that our water resources become a serious problem. On account of possibly even fracking. And even though Recon Africa keeps on saying that they're not considering fracking anymore, recently they, in another press release, actually said, no, they'll leave that decision to the Namibian government. Yes, they will leave it to them, but it will be an influenced decision. So it's a very serious thing, and we've really brought a lot of photos and stuff already, always reminding people that this is a very serious issue for us. So anyway, that was Recon Africa, and you brought us something as well.
Yes, I did. So if you joined us a few weeks back, you would have seen the video on the Ghanaian blogger. He is a Ghanaian vlogger whose mission is to change the narrative of people's view of Africa. And this week, I have a very special video where he asks people why they visit Dubai instead of visiting Namibia. I think he's probably one of my favorite travel bloggers.
You said as much. Yeah.
Yes, but have a look.
If you ever watch my first episode on Namibia, I stated vividly that Namibia is Africa's most underrated country. You know why I said that? Because Namibia is not what I expected. The untapped natural beauty, the cleanliness of the cities of Namibia, not just the cities, but the towns and villages. I must confess that I traveled the entire Namibia, and one of the places that really shocked me, and I believe that you are also going to be shocked, is the coast of Namibia. Brothers and sisters, I want to say welcome to the coast of Namibia. That was so much fun, man. That was so much fun, man. After having such an unforgettable desert experience here in Namibia, I simply don't understand why Africans have to go all the way to Dubai just to have such an experience of which you can enjoy it here on the continent. I mean, leave a comment and let me know. Is it because the Tourism Board of Namibia is not marketing the country that much? Or is it because Africans don't value what they have on their own continent? But if it's the first one, then I guess the Namibian Tourism Board should employ us. And I believe that we can do a great job. Leave a comment and let me know if you agree with me.
Welcome to the most beautiful part of Namibia, the coast where the ocean meets the dunes.
The Sandwich Harbor. Right here we get the Sandwich Harbor Lagoon. The water here, it's a mix of salt water and fresh water that seeps just at the base of the dunes here. Then you get the peninsula that goes into the sea, and that's what creates the harbor. It used to be an active harbor in the 1700s, discovered by the sailors back then. So they would use it to actually anchor their ships in this area. Then they also do some trades. So it was active until the early 1900s. Then the operation basically shifted to the bigger harbor of Walvis Bay.
Let me tell you something. Whenever you go to Namibia, you can go for a jeep safari on the desert, just like what I did. And you're adventurous, just like me, you can also go for quad biking. And you know, one of the things that I know that I would definitely try in my next life is skydiving, because for now, I'm not ready.
So welcome to the Walvis Bay Lagoon. This is classified as a Ramsar site. By Ramsar site, it's an international convention that was signed by over 170 countries that agree to protect their wetlands.
Would you ever believe if I tell you that this is my favorite place in the entire Namibia? I have been showing you guys the Africa that you don't see on TV, but after coming to Swakop and Walvis Bay, I believe that this really represents the Africa that you don't see on TV, to the extent that it shocked even me. I never believed that a place like this really exists on the continent Africa. I would say kudos to all Namibians, because this place is super clean, super organized. I mean, walking along the coastline, seeing the ocean and also an estate made me feel like, damn, this is indeed heaven on earth.
Love it.
I love it for the simple reason that it is basically an outsider having a look at our country and confirming what we've always been saying. That this is something special, and I think we all know it. And what strikes me is what he says there is somehow Namibians do not promote their own country enough. We can clearly see that from Africa there are people who really think this is a nice place to go to, and somehow we I don't know if we may be ashamed or worried that we don't get, we don't comply with their standards. I for one surely know we are. I get around a lot in this country, and I'll tell you one thing. There are not that many other countries that can hold their sort of standards to ours, you know, and I'm not playing them down. It's just, I always say that if you visit Namibia, you've got a summary of the whole of Africa, because when you go up to Zambezi region, you will have forests. When you go down towards Kavango, coming down to Grootfontein, you've got the savannas and bushveld, and it's sort of, then you've seen Makalani palms, then you don't. You know, then as you go over towards Kaokaveld, you've got that green bushveld. Then you come into the Namib Desert, and there you're on the next level. So whether you want to go to the Sahara, no, come to Namib Desert. If you want to go to DRC, well, you might as well go to Zambezi. You know, it doesn't matter which part of Africa you look at. We've got it somewhere in Namibia. It's a summarized version of Africa, and that's what I like. And I think Woda Maya has really, he's realized, yes, it is so. So I was much impressed by that contribution of yours. I really loved that, and I hope you guys did as well.
Oh, thank you, Frank.
So thank you anyway. That brings us to the end of this week's edition. Hope you had a bit of fun, just like we had. And thank you for joining me again.
It's always a pleasure.
So see you next week. Until then, remain safe and yeah, enjoy your weekend.